makingascene.org brings you Bus Writing 101, how to mix like a pro without overcomplicating it. Welcome, everyone. I am so pumped you're joining us for this explainer. Look, if you've ever felt completely, utterly overwhelmed just staring at your mix session wondering where to even begin, well, you're in exactly the right place today. Seriously, does your mix session look like a giant pile of spilled cables right now? Because, man, it's a trap we literally all fall into. Most independent artists start mixing with one very simple goal, right? Make every single track sound better. So you click on the kick drum, throw on an EQ. You move over to the snare, add a compressor. Then, the lead vocal needs a little help, so you slap on an EQ, a de-esser, maybe dial in some reverb. And before you know it, the guitars are way too loud, the bass is completely fighting the kick, and your digital audio workstation just looks like this chaotic, crashing mess of plugins and conflicting decisions. It's a nightmare.
Okay, let's dive right into our roadmap for today. We're going to start with mixing as traffic control, then decode some of that studio jargon, build what we call musical neighborhoods, look at effects and the mix bus, and finally wrap up with the real indie advantage. Let's get into it. Section 1. Mixing is traffic control, turning audio chaos into organized flow. You see, a truly great mix isn't just about endlessly tweaking sounds. It's actually about becoming a master of traffic control. Let's start with a really clear definition here: bus routing. I know it sounds kind of intimidating and highly technical, but honestly, it's simply a path that lets you send several tracks to one shared channel. It creates these little musical neighborhoods that all flow smoothly towards your main mix. And that's literally it. There's no magic involved. It's not some secret studio handshake reserved for elite engineers. It's just a smarter, way more organized way to structure your sound. To really get this, we need a bit of a mindset shift. We have to stop acting like the computer user, treating every single track as an isolated little island, and instead become the traffic planner. Think of every single track in your session as a vehicle. If the kick, the snare, the vocals, guitars, and keys are all trying to drive straight to the final mix at the exact same time with absolutely no lanes or organization, what happens? You get a massive, gridlocked traffic jam. A bus simply gives those related sounds a shared road so they can travel together nice and smooth. All right, Section 2, decoding the studio jargon. Plain language translations for intimidating terms. So these terms are actually incredibly simple when we strip away all the mystery. A track? That's just your sound source, where the actual recording lives. A bus is that shared audio path we were just talking about. An aux or FX channel is simply a helper channel, usually holding something like a reverb or delay. A send is literally just a copy of your sound that you send over to that helper channel. What about a group? Well, that's just a fader link, so when you move one volume fader, the others move right along with it. A folder is just a visual organizer to keep your screen looking tidy. And finally, the mix bus is the final output path where the whole shebang comes together. Understanding just these 7 terms right here, that gives you the rock-solid foundation for a perfectly clean session architecture. Now, the absolutely crucial point here is understanding the difference between standard audio processing and control-only groups, like DCA or VCA faders. With a standard audio bus, the sound actually flows right through it. That means you can slap an EQ or a compressor directly on that bus to really glue those sounds together. A DCA or VCA, on the other hand, is strictly control only. It's kind of like a giant invisible hand moving multiple volume faders all at once. No sound actually passes through it, so you can't put a compressor on it. It literally just changes the volume while keeping your perfectly crafted balance totally intact. Moving on to Section 3, building your musical neighborhoods, uniting drums, vocals, and instruments. Drums are pretty much the perfect place to start translating all this into real-world practice. Think about it. A real drum kit is played by one person sitting in one room. But in a digital session, that can easily turn into 15 completely scattered microphones. This is where the drum bus advantage is just massive. By routing all of those disparate mics into one shared space, you can apply some gentle glue compression so the kit actually feels like it grooves together. Plus, when that huge chorus hits and the drums just need to be a tiny bit louder, you just nudge one single fader instead of frantically chasing down 15 separate tracks. It's a huge time saver. I absolutely love this quote straight from makingascene.org. A drum bus is not a trash compactor. Seriously, this is such a vital warning. We use buses to add a gentle connection, a little bit of color. We are absolutely not there to smash our beautifully recorded tracks into mushy paste. Subtlety, my friends, is always the key to a professional sound. And this exact same logic applies perfectly to the rest of your track too.
Building a vocal bus lets you unite your lead, your doubles, your harmonies, and treat them as one cohesive vocal production. Same for a guitar or synth bus. It lets you soften harsh layers all at once. It essentially keeps you, the artist, right there in the command center. Now sure, you might use some AI tools here to help out. Things like Isotope Neutron 5 for tonal balance, or Wave's Factory Track Spacer to intelligently carve out those annoying masking frequencies. But always remember, the human, you, always decides the taste. The AI is just an assistant working inside your command center.
All right, section 4, effects and the mix bus, polishing the final world.
Let's look at a really classic amateur mistake. We call it 20 tiny rooms. If you put a completely different reverb plugin on every single track, your mix ends up sounding like the snares in a bathroom, the vocal is singing in a church, and the guitar is somehow playing out in a canyon. It's just a messy clash. Instead, what you want is one shared world. By using a dedicated effects bus, you can send different tracks to one unified, beautiful reverb space. Not only does it sound way more believable and professional, but it also literally saves your computer's CPU from catching on fire.
And hey, speaking of powerful bus techniques, we've got to talk about parallel compression. This is an absolutely amazing way to add massive body and energy to vocals or drums without completely killing the original performance. It's literally just 3 steps. 1. Send a copy of your clean sound over to a new bus. 2. Compress that copied bus really aggressively, like squash it. And 3. Sneak that heavy compressed bus subtly underneath your natural original track. You get to feel all that extra energy and thickness, but the main track keeps all of its dynamic life. It's the best of both worlds.
Now we have to talk about the final output, the master or mix bus. And once again, makingascene.org captures this perfectly with this quote: "The mix bus is the final handshake. It is not the emergency room." Listen, if your guitars are fighting your vocals, slapping a giant chain of limiters and EQs on your master output is not going to save you. You fix those problems back in your musical neighborhoods, on your instrument buses. The mix bus, that's strictly for a gentle final polish. Now, don't get me wrong, the tools you use do matter, and specific plugins can really empower this whole workflow. For EQ, you might throw a FabFilter Pro Q4 on a bus to reduce some mud. For AI balance, Sonable Smart EQ4 is a fantastic guide. For compression, Sonable Smart Comp 3 provides some really nice transparent glue. And if you want that warm analog console color, the SSL Auto series is fantastic. But please hear this loud and clear. Plugins are just tools inside your routing workflow. The routing itself is where the actual magic happens. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that buying a new plugin is going to fix a fundamentally messy session. Let's bring it home with Section 5, the real indie advantage, why workflow is business leverage.
This is where we elevate everything we've talked about from a technical audio lesson to a crucial business strategy for you. Think about these massive income opportunities for a second. Sync licensing for TV and film, live backing tracks for your upcoming tours, collaborations, remixes, prepping for professional mastering. Do you know what literally every single one of these requires? Stems, isolated groups of tracks. If your session is a beautifully routed, organized masterpiece with a drum bus, a vocal bus, and an instrument bus, you can export these stems with just a couple of clicks. But if your session is a messy pile of spilled cables, well, every single one of these lucrative opportunities suddenly turns into a total panic attack. And that really brings us to a profound truth here. Faster mixing does not mean lazy mixing. It means building a repeatable workflow that actually creates freedom. Having a mapped out session is honestly the ultimate indie advantage. It gives you the power to actually finish your tracks, release way more music, build direct relationships with your fans, and generate real revenue instead of just leaving half-finished songs rotting away on an old hard drive. So, I'll leave you with this one question to chew on. Are you ready to stop fighting your mix and start building your musical roads? Group your sounds, keep your session clean, and really take control of your music. Make sure you check out the other great articles and resources on makingascene.org, the place the indie artist goes to build the new music industry.